Hey folks, welcome back. Today we're going to do a Kalua pig. Instead of doing it in the ground, which typically happens at a Hawaiian luau, we're going to do it in the slow cooker. Being from Hawaii, growing up in Hawaii, I miss certain local cuisine, and this is one that I truly miss. We're going to do very low carb. We're going to start out with using the slow cooker and using our cooking spray just to spray a little bit inside so that the pork doesn't stick as it's cooking. Usually pork doesn't stick because it has a lot of fat, but just in case, it's best to be done. And we're going to do 1 tablespoon of liquid smoke. And instead of rubbing it with salt like normally people do, we'll use a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. It's a little less salty, but it has a lot of flavor. So we have, of course, our roast. It's a pork shoulder wrapped in twine, and we have that inside our slow cooker with the fat side up. That'll give the roast a chance for the fat to drip down and keep it moist as it's cooking. So we're going to go ahead and take 1 tablespoon of each, and we're just going to merely pour it over the pork roast. And from there, we're going to cover it and we're going to cook it for 8 hours on low. And then we'll come back about a half hour before it to throw in the cabbage. There it is. We have it on low for 8 hours. It is that easy. And later on, we'll come back and we'll see how it's cooking. We might probably flip it in about 4 hours just to ensure that both sides are cooking evenly. All right, so 4 hours into it, we have our roast that is cooking very well. So now it's time to flip it to make sure that it cooks thoroughly all the way through. All right, it's a big boy there. The bone's exposed on one side, so it's cooking just as good as it should be. So we will check back in about 3 more hours. At that time, we'll throw in the cabbage. Alrighty then, it's been about 7.5 hours. Let's take our lid off of our pots, our slow cooker. And then as you can see, our pig or Kalua pig is cooking very well. Now just to throw in 1 head of a cabbage all chopped up, we're gonna just kind of pour that over our pork, and we're gonna let it steam for another half hour or so. We're not really in a rush for dinner right now. It's about 5:35. We might even wait for a little bit longer, but we don't want the lettuce or the cabbage to get too soggy. But we'll be back in about a half hour or so. Our 30 minutes has passed. Let's take off our lid and see how things are going. All right, the cabbage still appears to be almost done, but not quite finished. But I think our pork is ready to be taken out. So let's take out our pork. Ooh, look at that, very tender looking. Place it into a pan, and then we're going to go ahead and cut off the strings of the twine before we shred the pork. Alrighty, cut off that one. I think there was just a few. Oh, look at that. It just comes right off. Okay, well, that's 1 string. And then we have the other one back here. Oops. And let's just double check to make sure we don't have any more strings in here. Oh, no, we sure do not. That was it. All right. Now we can go ahead and start shredding the pork. We should just shred very easily with our fork. Oh, look at that, just falling right off the bone. So we'll just shred everything until it's all shredded, and then we'll add it back to our pot. Well, that's shredded very easily. In a matter of a couple of minutes, it's shredded down to Kalua pork. So we're going to go ahead and transfer this back to our crock pot so we can mix it in with our cabbage and let it cook for maybe another 30 minutes or so, just so it gets a little more just mixed in. And we'll be right back. All right, so let's go ahead and mix our Kalua pork with the cabbage. Oh my gosh, it smells so delicious. It's so tender. And I think the cabbage will be ready probably in another 10 or 15 more minutes. All right. So it's all in the juices, soaking together, sopping up all the spices and flavor. We'll cover our pan or our crock pot, and we'll come back in 15 or 20 more minutes. All right, and here is our final outcome. We've had it on for another half hour or so just to make sure that everything is mixed together, and that looks phenomenal. Moist pork with the soft cabbage, and we'll scoop a little bit out just to see what it looks like because it looks absolutely fantastic. We're trying to do low carb, so we're not doing any rice. We're just going to eat it with just plain with the pork and the cabbage. All right, well, this recipe is not in our cookbook, maybe in the next one, but for other low-carb recipes and more, visit us on Amazon.com, Smokey and Giraffe's low-carb kitchen recipes. Until next time, bon appetit. Au revoir.